This programme is brought to you by Taom Billiards.
Too fast, too fly, too flaunty, too gas, too high, yeah, we on it. We go wherever the crew going. I'm ready, so tell me who want it.
Evening, welcome back to the Super Series pool here from the West Midlands, live on Free Sports. It's night number 2 of action, a cracker in store for you tonight. 2016's world champion Gareth Hibbott enters the Super Series. He takes on newcomer Chris Day. Last night we saw some terrific pool. We're hoping for more of the same. If you missed yesterday evening's instalment, world champion John McAllister was given a run for his money.
He's going to go for the double. Aggressive play from John. Ooh, little nudge on the yellow. Little nudge, little fortunate, but it flies in.
Wire in this first match of the Super Series. In the end, John McAllister gets himself through. Well, what a fantastic night it was yesterday. You join us here from our commentary position, socially distanced, of course. Stephen Jameson here alongside the brilliant Simon Webb. Simon, what a night it was yesterday. Started off a little bit slow, but once the players got into it, I think it was a fantastic advert for Shootout pool in the end.
Absolutely, yeah. Both players were a little bit rusty to start with. We saw some great pull from both players and a few trademark shots from John, but it was the odd mistake in there which added to the excitement. But John really stepped up in that last set and showed his class, the sort of class of a champion.
And speaking of champions, we've got 2016's world champion here today. Gareth Hibbott is in the building. He takes on Chris Day for the right to face John McAllister in the quarter-finals, which is not the kindest draw for either of these pair, but when you've got 16 of the best players in the country, the quarter-finals are always going to be tough. An interesting matchup this between two really good players. Chris has been in playing different codes and not necessarily too familiar to black ball viewers, but we were watching him practice earlier and he's going to mean business.
Yeah, Chris looked really sharp in practice, and he is new to black ball. He hasn't played a huge amount, been playing in the World Rules, playing for England World Rules team, and doing really well, I has to say. And but he is up against Gareth Hibbott, a former world champion, a guy that's a former #1 in the game. He's won so many big titles. So you have to say Gareth probably starts with an edge, but it will come down to who's going to be sharp in the early stages, I think.
Well, we've got this to look forward to. Two fantastic players here tonight, then let's find out what they thought ahead of tonight's big fixture.
Hi Gareth, you've been one of the biggest names in the sport for a long time now, but I want to take you right back to the start and sort of get a sense of how you got into the sport.
That's a long time ago, Simon. I think I was around 12 years old, and my mum used to work behind the bar in the local social club, and they obviously had pool and a couple of snooker tables, and I started off playing pool when I was probably 11 or 12, and I was playing in the league within a few months, and playing all the home games for the local team and some of the away games where the pubs would let me go to. A lot of them wouldn't let you in those days. So
Great to have you here, Chris. I just want to get a sense of your background in the sport.
Yep. Started playing world rules from a very young age, 18, 19. Then sort of took a break from pool, shall we say, and didn't really start playing properly again probably till about sort of 5 or 6 years ago, when I sort of played county, ended up breaking through into the World Rules England team, and started playing on the tours. Managed to win a challenge on the UK tour, but that's about it to date so far.
How's lockdown been for you? Have you been able to practice at all?
yeah, a little bit. We've got a table at home, and it's been such nice weather that I've been doing other things as well. But this last week or two, I've been putting a few hours in, and the cloth's a bit bare on it, so it's not great to play on at the minute. It needs recovering, but yeah, I've been playing a little bit, keep my arm going.
I'm fairly new to black ball rules as well. I mean, most of your pool so far has been world rules.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, made a decision last year to move over to black ball rules, come on the IPA tour. Hopefully the game's going to move forward a lot in black ball rules, I think. So looking forward to seeing where I can get to.
First taste of the shootout tonight. Thoughts on the format and the 15 seconds shot?
It's going to be tough to get used to. Yeah, that is pretty quick. It's just that I'm quite quick when I get down on the shot, but the actual thinking, you do like to think out finishes and things, so it will be different. But the format looks great. It was good to watch last night. What I saw, it's entertaining.
Have you been able to practice at all then with such a short shot clock?
Not with the clock running, but you just try and do your finishes a little bit quicker than you normally would, and just try and look at the finish and think, oh, I'll go this way, and try and do it that bit quicker than normal. So
tonight's obviously the first taste of shootout pool for you. How excited to get going in the shootout?
Very excited, also very nervous obviously of the shot clocks, but I'm just going to try to play as naturally as possible, play the first shot I see, and hope my instincts are right, really.
Have you done any practice with the 30 seconds or the 15 seconds?
Can't say I've done any practice at that. I have experimented with making the white ball move as much as I possibly can after I finish my shot to give myself some extra seconds, but that's about it, really.
You've achieved just about everything there is to achieve in the sport. What are the goals going forward?
just to win more tournaments, Simon. Really, there's so many great players at the minute, and they're all hard to win. But I've been at the business end of a few big tournaments in the last 18 months or so. So I don't think I've won a real biggie for probably 2 or 3 years. But I'm not too far away, so it'd be nice to win a few more before I pack in.
Well, best of luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
And tonight's your first TV match. Do you any extra nerves for that?
Probably normally they would be, but the fact that we're sort of locked away in a room, I think will take away a lot of those nerves, to be honest. If there was a big audience here, perhaps that would be a bit more daunting, but I'm sure once I start playing, once I settle, I'll be okay.
Well, best of luck tonight, Chris.
Thanks very much.
Well, there you have it. The scene is set. Two great players in their own rights. Simon, before we usher them into the room for our match tonight, what are your final thoughts heading into this one?
Well, we know what to expect from Gareth. We've seen him play on Freesports many, many times. He's won lots of big titles. But for me, I was very impressed with what I've seen from Chris. He's looked very calm. He's practiced very well this afternoon, and he really could start this match, very strongly.
It was interesting as well. We were watching the pair of them practice earlier. We've got a lovely little monitor here in our studio, which lets us keep an eye on how the training's going, shall we say. And interesting, when Chris was reaching the end of his practice spell, he had a full dish to do with about a minute remaining, and he got his skates on, running around the table. A little bit of interesting practice maybe for when that shot clock really kicks in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think Gareth or Chris will have played at all with a 15-second shot clock, so it is going to be very interesting to see how they react in that final 15 minutes of sets.
Well, we're going to find out very, very soon. Live pool on your way on Free Sports after this. And welcome back to Live Pool here on Free Sports. Stephen Jameson and Simon Webb with you all evening long as Gareth Hibbott and Chris Day face off in the first round of the Free Sports Super Series. You can see here our action is just about to get underway. This is the lag where we decide which player will break first, and it's worth pointing out in these unprecedented times really in the world of live sport, the efforts that have been made by so many different people to get this event on in the first place has been tremendous. And you'll notice a few changes as to how the players approach the game. We've got no live cameramen inside the pool arena. and loads of different changes involving hand washing between frames, etc, etc, etc. It isn't quite pull as we knew it, Simon, but it didn't make too much difference yesterday to the players, who both sort of seemed to get on with it quite well and produce some really good entertainment.
Yeah, I think it just takes a little bit of time just to get used to the way you need to work. Just make sure that, you know, coming into the arena, you come in a different way from the player that's coming away from the arena. And as we've just seen, players aren't going to be lagging at the same time. So they toss a coin to see who lags first, and then closest to the top cushion gets to choose whether they break first or not in the opening frame.
Yeah, everyone here is socially distanced on a bare bones skeleton staff here in the West Midlands, but all doing a fantastic job to bring the live sport onto your screens here on Free Sports. This night number 2 of the Super Series. About to get underway with I was going to say a trademark hammer break from Gareth Hibbott, but what isn't his trademark is screwing straight into the middle pocket as he's just done there. That is a rare breaking error from a man who really does have one of the best breaks around.
Yeah, big trademark of Gareth Hibbott's game is his break. When he won the world title back in 2016, his break was on fire. He was breaking massive, he was making lots of finishes, and it's definitely been a big part of his game. But not the best start though.
And a great chance here for Chris Day. You know, he couldn't have been sat there in his stall waiting for a better opportunity than this, to have a shot and a visit from the very first shot of the match off Gareth's break. Really does enable to set him off. And remember, in black ball rules, we don't have 2 shots or 2 shots carry or anything like that. Chris Day himself has had to switch those codes from world rules. So a shot and a visit for every foul, which means you get a free shot to do pretty much whatever you like. And then you are at your regular visit. Chris here has chosen reds, and his colour set here looks pretty out in the open.
Yeah, this is a dream table for your first frame on live TV ever. This is what you want. They are just laid out beautifully for him. He just needs to mind his work and work his way around the table. And actually, this could be a real big settler, because we were talking off air that, you know, Chris looks sharp in practice, but how is he going to settle into not just the shootout format but the live TV element? And this will really, you know, settle him down if he can make this finish.
It's going to be an interesting one as well, because you mentioned earlier, Simon, Gareth has been a real fixture on Free Sports in the last couple of years since the World Championships in 2018. Been pretty much deep in every competition we've shown on the channel, and the stuff like the shot clock, the cameras, everything like that won't really bother him. It will feel still quite familiar. You know, similar TV crew. You know, said hello to him earlier. You know, these are all things that are very familiar. Chris is coming into totally unknown territory.
And if there was a crowd, and if it was in an you know, an arena with the crowd, and I think that would carry a little bit more weight. I think the fact that this is behind closed doors helps Chris in terms of it being his first TV game. He just has to play pool in an arena. He doesn't need to worry about anything else. Oh, we could go wrong. He slid by the black. He's okay. Just over-screwed it, so this is now a tester on this black. He's just not been in perfect position for the last 3-4 shots, and it's just getting harder and harder. He still should make this black, but it's a lot harder than he wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, but this to go 1 frame up for Chris Day.
Reach.
And it does. That's a really, really good pressure pot from Chris Day, who goes 1 frame up. And if you're unfamiliar with shootout rules, we play half an hour per set. 5 frames will win any set. If it doesn't go all the way to 5, we will take the highest score. It can go down to the wire. This is Gareth Hibbott's recent tournament history. We're talking here about all of his events that he's played recently, and I think the one that stands out there, obviously, the semi-final in the World Championships this year. Lost to the eventual winner, John McAllister, but had another really good run at that World Championships.
He did. He's still, you know, one of the top players. His rankings dropped down to 12. 2016, he was #1 in the rankings, so he has slid down a little bit. The titles have dried up just a fraction, but he is still in a lot of quarterfinals. He's still in a world semi-final. He is still winning tournaments. It's just back in 2016 he really was prolific.
And here we see the break of Chris Day. It's a cut break. And he mentioned earlier to his off camera that he has been working on getting the black ball to move off the cut break, and in shootout rules that could prove very, very fruitful.
Yeah, if you make the black off the break, then you win the frame, the golden break. But the only thing to be careful of, if you make the black and the white, or you foul of any sort, then you do lose the frame. But we've seen Chris, well, he said he's been working on it, but we saw this afternoon that he did have a golden break in practice, as did Gareth Hibbott, and as did yourself.
Oh, I didn't tell you to bring that up. I need to be very clear about that.
It's fair to say I'm the only person that's touched the table today that hasn't had a golden break. I don't feel too left out.
Well, I mean, you are officially retired. I haven't started to get retired, but I still could be. I'm on standby basically.
Yeah, your cue is ready. All the chance here for Chris for 2-0. This is reverse dish in the previous frame, and this has just opened up lovely again. He's still got to be careful with his last couple of positional shots. Just needs to be precise. Make sure he lands nicely on that black. But couldn't be better on this ball.
Yeah, and those are the ones where you notice early on if the player's carrying a little bit extra adrenaline or a couple of nerves, just overrun the white ball a little bit, and it really can make such a difference. Chris here has a couple of shots coming up which just require a little bit of extra concentration.
He wanted to be a little bit straighter. In an ideal world, I think he'd rather be on well, the ball he's going to play, but I think he wants to be nearer straight on it. Oh, I was going to say he has to avoid the reds to try and get on that yellow, even though it's hanging over the pocket. He hasn't landed nicely on it. He can still pot this, but potting this and landing on the black is very tough. I think he wanted to catch that red that he just kissed full ball, hold the white where it was. So now it's a delicate cut back to the top left corner, and he's got to really dig into this white.
Didn't cut it thin enough, and the chance is gone. Chris Day, Gareth Hibbott enters the fray with a chance to make amends for the mistake that he made in the first frame. It's only his second shot of the match after that foul break, and he enters into a prime situation here. All the reds close to each other. This is set up ideally for a man of the positional sense that Gareth Hibbott really does boast.
Yeah, a bit like Chris in the previous frame. This is just a perfect opportunity for Gareth to get his cue arm going. He's got that one ball on the right hand side that he may choose to move or he may play on.
You'll notice on the graphic at the bottom of your screen, that's the shot clock and the set clock rolling. 30 seconds for the first 15 minutes of the set, and then it will shrink in half to 15 seconds for the remaining quarter of an hour in each set. It really does get the pulses racing on the table.
15 seconds a shot really is severe. It takes a lot getting used to for the players. I would say Gareth might move that ball off the cushion. He did attempt to, but he just caught it thinner than he wanted to, and now he's not ideal. He may have to leave that red for a double. In fact, he may just be playing safe here. Looks to be a total snooker. There may be just an edge of this yellow available. If there's an edge, then it won't be far off the potting angle.
Had to be really precise there, Gareth, and
I think he has left an edge. Chris has come round to have a look at the potting angle of this yellow. It's a big shot. It's a very tough pot.
Well, how do you fancy it, Chris Day? That is terrific. Black isn't a gimme, but if he was to steal this frame away from Gareth Hibbott, it's pretty much the ideal start for Chris Day. Having run aground in his earlier break, he has recovered with 2 pretty sensational pots. 2-zip.
Very interesting start. We would have thought Gareth would have made sure of that frame and it would have been 1-all, but a mistake and fully punished by Chris. Great pot to the top left corner.
Well, this is Chris's recent tournament history. As you can see, there are only tournaments from September. Recently joined the IPA circuit. As mentioned earlier, transferring over from World Rules, where he is a UK Tour Challenge winner, or UK Challenge Tour, I should say. He's very familiar with top level pool at international standard, and we quite often see, and we have done over the last few years, that players who have come into the IPA who technically start as amateurs and outside of the rankings, they really can make some upsets because they often have to play the top players early on in tournaments, and that of course brings with it its own difficulties, which obviously means they don't necessarily always get as far as their talent perhaps suggests they should, but also it means that if they are reaching quarterfinals, they've had to navigate a real gauntlet to get there.
You're absolutely right. No player, no matter how much success they've had in a different code of the game, comes into the IPA with the right to turn professional. You have to earn that right through your amateur performances, and we've seen some big names and some big players. We've seen world champions come into the IPA and have to go work their way through the tour and earn their professional status, and Chris is no different. He comes in with some success from the World Rules side of the game, and he has to start as an amateur, and looks like his first few events weren't that successful, but he's shown with what he's done on the World Rules side that, you know, we expect to see some decent performances from him over the next year or so.
Gareth here with a good break, and he's looking at yellows. And that little cannon on the black will prove pretty useful to him. Just frees it up a touch.
Just that one yellow causing a problem. The one nearest the bottom left-hand corner, it doesn't go to the bottom right, and he can't get the potting angle to the bottom left, so he's going to have to come up with a cannon of some sort. He'd like to be straight enough on this ball now to be able to sort of screw into that red and yellow, but I don't think he is. And if he's straight on this yellow, then it's not worked out. He needed an angle, didn't need much angle, but he just needed a little bit of angle. Okay, he's got just about enough, but he's really going to have to force this in. And it's not a full pocket either.
Yeah, really high quality shot that from Gareth. Spoke yesterday about John McAllister's familiarity with the shot clock, having played Champions Cup, Premier League, and on Freesports. It has been a bit of a fixture. Took a little while for the top pros to get used to it, but that familiarity certainly has been bred now. And the beeps, when they do come, and they will, won't deter Gareth Hibbott too much. He's made that look really easy, and he's back in the mix at 2-1.
Break and dish for Gareth, his first one of the match. So both players have now had a clearance from the break, and I think both players should settle down, and we should see some pretty good ball from both.
A reminder of the schedule coming up here on the Freesports Super Series. We saw John McAllister make his way through against Sheppard yesterday, but tomorrow we've got a great game between Emma Cunningham and Aaron Davies, which means myself and Simon will chat through that one a little bit later on as the show continues. Carl Brown and David McNamara will be facing off on Monday, and we close off this little segment of Super Series evenings here on Freesports with Mark Farnsworth against Ben Rowland, which will be a fine way to bring to a close this opening section of the competition. We'll take a bit of a hiatus and then return to round out round number 1.
Some big names coming up and some big matches coming up. I'm really excited to see how this draw unfolds. Fantastic break from Chris.
Yeah, he's getting into these really well, isn't he?
It's a big thing to watch out for with the cup break is that yellow going into the top or the left centre as you look from the main camera. If you get the cup break right, that yellow will go close more often than not. This time it's flown in. I find it interesting that Chris has really given it some thought about the golden break and really considered how he gets the black moving as much as possible to give himself every opportunity to try and win the frame off the break.
Well, it was interesting even in your interview, Simon, he was talking about moving the white a lot more to allow himself more time to think. I mean, you're going really in depth there, but, you know, to plan that level ahead.
Well, it's interesting actually, because it was Gareth Hibbott that I was having a chat with him a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, when Freesports first came along and there was a shot clock, and he was talking about playing, even when he had a straight pot, he would play it with extreme side, so that the white would be spinning on its spot and technically moving, giving himself a few extra seconds to see it. And I was like, the fact that Gareth had thought about that, but Chris has already thought about it as well.
15-second shot clock in operation.
Well, we have now rolled into the next stage of this one, because Gareth Hibbott has got himself a chance to break here against the break of Chris Day, who ran himself aground into some shot clock trouble.
That's the problem with the shot clock for the players, is when they're in control and they keep it simple and they don't have to think too much, it's not a problem. But when they come slightly wrong side or they need to think about where they're going, the time isn't quite there for them. And I think that's what happened to Chris. He's landed a bit awkward, took a little bit too long and then had to rush the shot. It was a difficult shot anyway. Gareth's got one ball that he has to work out. He may look to try and move this red on the right hand side. That's okay. If he can see the red nearest the left centre, he'd be happier. If not, this is a tricky cutback. That's a great shot from Gareth. One of the best potters on the pool circuit. Very clean potter.
Notice the time has ticked over into second half of this opening set, which means the 15-second shot clock is in operation. Gareth Hibbott has made light work of this clearance. Really smoothly done from Gareth Hibbott, who squares up at 2 apiece, and this is really turning into quite the opening set here. Remember, first to 5, or if it doesn't get that far, we'll just take the score of whatever happens at the 30-minute mark. It's what makes Shootout pool so exciting, that element of clock jeopardy, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll probably see, I think, throughout the tournament, I reckon about half the sets aren't going to be finished in terms of a player getting to 5, so we are going to see that clock come into play a lot, and I don't think this set's going to go the full distance. One of these players needs to win 3 frames, and we've got less than 15 minutes.
And a reminder as well that we can have half points if the score is tied at the end of the half an hour. We can square things off and keep things even. It really does add a whole new dynamic. That is a cannon of a break from Gareth Hibbott. And just taking a look at the lie here, it's a pretty interesting one, but yellows don't look too bad. And he's straight into his work. He won't mind that at all.
He may well change his mind. As we look at the break again, making a red and a yellow with your first shot means the table is still open, so he could still go either colour, and in fact, even if he missed his next shot, it would still be open for Chris. And Gareth has changed his mind.
Well, that's why I handled it, because immediately the reds became a really viable option. Every red has a pocket here, and Gareth is rocking and rolling toward the 3-2 leads.
Big problem he's got though is the red at the top of the table. It has, you know, it's not too bad to either of the top pockets, but landing on it nicely is difficult. He has to move the white quite a long way up the table to land nicely on this red, so there's not a certainty this finish. About the angle he leaves, and I think that's okay. He drifts by the yellow comfortably, doesn't want to land straight on the red at the top. Not straight, and he is. No, he's just okay. He's fine. He can just drift past the yellow. He's not perfect on this black. I've already said that He's one of the best potters in the pool circuit. He's going to need to be here. No trouble.
3-2. Well, we're flying through the frames here. 5 gone already in this opening 20 minutes or so. And these two are battling it out for an opportunity to play John McAllister, the reigning world champion, in the quarterfinals. And it's fair to say, Simon, that compared to the match that we did see last night with Zach Sheppard and John McAllister, both of whom admitted they'd not had very much chance to practice at all. In fact, Zach told us he'd not picked up a cue in 3 months since the beginning of lockdown. This game has started much quicker.
I think what we're seeing is two players that have tables at home. You know, Chris, who had admitted he's been playing a fair amount. He's been doing playing quite a lot of pool. Gareth has the table at home and has the option. He's not chosen to play much, but he has put some time in over the last week and a half, and I think both players are sharper today because of it.
Yeah, it's a noticeable, marked difference. And again, watch this break from Chris. He's looking to get that black ball on the move. You can see there the way he gets it to kick back up the table. It is a weapon, but it has come up dry on this occasion.
He's got plenty of movement on the balls. I don't know whether he caught that break quite as clean as he has a couple of previous breaks, but when you look at the spread, you have to say it's a bit unfortunate not to make a ball. I think the black goes to the top left corner. I'm not sure if it goes into the left centre. Does go to the top left, which I'm pretty sure it does, then every ball has a pocket. It's normally danger zone for these players. Yellow into the left centre is his last ball, but he needs to be fairly straight on that to be able to hold on to the black.
He's not got a lot of angle to play with here, but just enough.
Yeah, to really punch that in to create the angle. Now he just needs to make sure he drifts by the red. Doesn't want to cannon into it and get half stuck. Pinch the pocket just a fraction.
Well, 4-2 would put him one away from winning this first set. And does put Chris Day right up against it as well. Chris now has to find two frames rather, from somewhere.
We were trying to bring you the stats, but not coming up. I can tell you that Gareth really has turned this round with some good finishes. He's had 3 finishes from the break already. He's really got into his stride really nicely. A couple of missed pots from Chris is probably from 2-0 up. He's made a couple of mistakes to let Gareth back in, and Gareth's really taken that.
Yeah, it's one thing we noticed yesterday as well. The more experienced player using that experience almost is a method of really punishing the lesser experienced player. Big moments. John McAllister came through yesterday, and that's where Gareth Hibbott has really come through. He might have been 2-0 down, but he's reeled off 4 on the spin there and looked absolutely brilliant in doing so.
Oh, Chris is going to... Oh, he's fouled. Shot clock foul. You can see he was halfway around the table and realised he had to hit the shot within a couple of seconds.
And it just shows you as well, he's very capable of making a really rapid shot. What a pot it was.
We didn't get a chance to look at that, and it's flown in. Well, unfortunately, it was after the buzzer, so this really could be the end of the set if Gareth can find this finish.
Shot on a visit then for Gareth Hibbott. He's just freed up that red. And the one that Chris took there does mean the table is still open, so we will see Gareth take reds here. Absolutely. But that wasn't a necessarily easy pot. He's just absolutely cannoned it in.
He didn't have time to look at it. It absolutely flown in. But it's a mistake that he's just not aware of the clock at all, and it's just a sort of really, it's a bad sort of mental error, if you like. He was halfway around the table. He had to run to get to the potting area. And
you can see there in the arena there is a massive clock up on the wall. sound effects will chime in from 5 seconds in.
Yeah, no excuses of not knowing how long is left. There's a big clock on the wall, and that's just a case of somebody that's not used to playing with a 15-second shot clock. Black's not easy to get nicely on, and if he finishes too high on this yellow, he can't get on the black. And that's what's happened. Landing on this black is now very difficult. He's going down towards the yellows. He's going
to navigate his way through a minefield here.
He may just look to try and get the white on the left-hand side of the table. If he can see this black, he can still pot it. The yellow going in is obviously not a problem. Black ball rules, you can do that.
This is some pot if he makes this. This for the first set. It's not going to go for Gareth Hibbott, so Chris Day with a chance for a reprieve. And he'll be very, very grateful for that. It keeps him, of course, in the set. He's only got just under 5 minutes to potentially halve the set. Be some effort if he can reel off 3 here. I don't think it's going to really realistically be possible, but quick finish here. The balls are all there for him.
What he needs to do is forget about the match. Don't rush. Don't risk missing because you're rushing as much as you can't rush with 15 seconds. But even if he just took 15 seconds on every shot, he's still going to have a couple of minutes for a finish in the next frame. And it will be Chris's break in the next frame, so he just needs to give himself that opportunity and try and tie this set up. Just decelerated on that shot a fraction.
So he's going to have around 3 minutes here, Chris Day, maybe 2.5, to potentially tie the set up. Covered that really nicely, done it really well. Now our referee Donna Evans has to rack these up nice and quickly, which of course she will, and it's not over this one yet, Simon. He needs a little bit of luck, Chris Day, but it's still very much open as we head into the final couple of minutes of the opening set, which is what we love about Shootout Pool.
This is what set play and this is what Shootout Pool gives us. It's a lot of drama. Chris, of course, you know, he's going to have enough time to make a clearance. He just needs to make a ball off the break. But of course, the way he's been practicing with his break, we know that the golden break is definitely a chance as well. So all eyes on this next break.
Chris Day to break.
Gold breaks are the big difference maker here. If he was to pull one off in this instant, then we really are in for a treat. What's he got in the locker here then, Chris Day? Black's on the move.
He's made a ball, so he has an opportunity, although his first shot is going to be difficult. Look at that black, he gets kicked around.
Here we go then. 2.5 minutes for Chris Day. So halve the opening set. It's not going to be easy.
He's just nudged the yellow towards the side cushion and he's casually walking around the table, but he's going to have to watch that shot clock again. It's okay. He's got plenty of time to make this finish. He doesn't need to rush.
It's a good thing about the 15 seconds. He knows he's only got so many balls left on the table. Simple math tells you he has enough time on this. Doesn't have to fly around the table. Doesn't mean he's blessed with a lot of time. 15 seconds, as we've said, enough over the course of tonight already is not a lot of time, but that positional shot is pretty good. This pot, however, is pretty difficult.
In an ideal world, he'd love to have finished just the same distance above this red, but he's come below it, so he's still got an opportunity. And it's not to be.
Millimetres away from having a very, very good chance of halving this set. It's not all over just yet. Gareth Hibbott here knows a miss. Lets Chris right back in. 70 seconds remaining on the set clock. Gareth Hibbott just has to be at the table at the end of the 60 seconds here, and he wins the opening set.
He almost needs to go against normal instinct, which is to try and make the finish. Forget about the balls on the cushion, forget about the finish. Just pop the open balls and waste 15 seconds on each one, and you've won the first set.
It's a dynamic which, prior to shootout rules, pool players would never ever think about. Gareth Hibbott here is very nearly over the line. It's been a fantastic opening set.
I've really enjoyed this opening set, and we've got plenty more to come as well. I'm really enjoying this match so far, and I think Gareth has done exactly what I said. He has left the hardest balls on the table until last. He's just potted the open balls. I think if he was going for the finish in a normal circumstances, without this match pressure, the match clock pressure, he would go differently.
Final 10 seconds then, and Gareth Hibbott won't mind missing that. It won't even bring Chris Day out of his seat and back to the table. The bong strikes, the first set is over. Gareth Hibbott is the winner of it. 1-0 to the former world champion at the end of set number 1. We'll be back after the break with set 2. Well, welcome back to our Isolation Inspiration Station here on Free Sports. It's Super Series pool on your Saturday night telly boxes, and we're delighted to be with you once again, Stephen Jameson and Simon Webb, heading into set number 2 of Gareth Hibbott versus Chris Day. Simon, set number 1 gave us a fantastic matchup, and if that's our indicator, then we're in for a bit of a treatment tonight, I think.
Yeah, both players looked to be pretty sharp. A couple of mistakes from Chris, 2 missed pots and a time foul, and Gareth looked to be very sharp and had 3 or 4 finishes himself. So both players, you know, this could be, you know, either way, this is going to be very exciting all the way through.
Yeah, Gareth not off to the greatest start with Chris going 2-0 up. But I think the way that first set has gone, Chris won't necessarily feel too badly about losing it. The fact he ran him pretty close, he had a good chance to halve the set as well. And I think he would have learnt a lot from that set as well. Running into a time penalty, I think actually might just help him a little bit, you know, in a weird way. Does that make sense?
It does. Normally I'll be talking about, you know, the player that's not played on TV much, the, you know, the sort of the underdog, if there is an underdog, you know, needing to get off to the better start. But I think Chris showed enough in that opening set that if he gets presented with the opportunities, I think he's going to take them. He only really made two missed pots and 1 time foul, so I think he's going to be okay.
Gareth with quite a fiddly finish here initially, but that screw shot has just cleared out the middle of the table a touch. But it is white ball control, has to be pristine to navigate the minefield really in the middle of the table. He tried to use that black to create a big pocket. He hasn't managed to do so, and Chris Day's back at the table.
Interesting to see that he's missed that pot into the middle pocket. They're very delicate pots, and the black ball table that we're using at this event, which is absolutely beautiful. I had a go on it myself this afternoon. It is playing beautifully, but one of the trademarks that you have with this table is the middle pockets just play that fraction tighter, and the reason I mention it is that Gareth was aware of that coming in. He hasn't played on the black ball table much, and he actually spends a little bit of time practicing shots into the middle, because he knew he had to be that little bit more precise. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, having missed his, you know, a first really delicate pot into the middle pocket.
That's how you take it in off the other ball. That's a lovely bit of work there for Chris Day.
The only downside for Chris is he's just knocked the yellow in the way of a red at the top of the table, so he's going to have to develop that red that's nearest the black. But he doesn't want to develop it and knock the black safe, and he's going to have to be quite precise with that cannon. Doesn't have the angle to do it here, and he'd like to if he could.
And you'll see as well the shot clock back at 30 seconds for the opening half of this second set.
He doesn't have the perfect angle to do it here, but he can still clip this in to the right centre pocket, come off the top cushion, possibly play it with quite a bit of side and come off the side cushion as well, so he's almost coming away from the black to take the risk of potting the black out. It looks like he's going a different way. He's decided to play it off the red and yellow, and I'm not sure that's quite opened up enough for him. I like the choice of shot though.
Yeah, and of course would open it up to the bottom of the table, but that yellow will be in the way. It's a clever shot, but as you can see there, I don't think that creeps into the middle pocket.
And I think he's too straight on the red to the top right to have any, you know, to get across to that to play another nudge. So he's in a bit of bother now.
It's in the armoury.
He's created an angle that wasn't there, and that is brilliant.
That's such a good shot.
He deserved to be better on this red. He really did.
This is still a really horrible pot, but to even have a chance here of anything.
That was almost straight, and he has created an angle that really wasn't there. And now he's, I mean, he deserved to be on this red better for the quality of the shot, that's for sure. He's gonna, I think he can still snick this red in, although I think he's thinking of...
He's gonna mind the shot clock.
Yeah, I think he's thinking of cushion into the yellow bottom right-hand corner. Great effort.
Oh, I cannot believe that has not dropped. And neither can Chris Day. He's almost stayed at the table a little bit longer, just in case a little gust of wind in the arena might nudge it in. But that doesn't come any closer. Have a look at this, ladies and gents. It's such a good effort.
I mean, that's back-to-back brilliant shots from Chris, and he didn't quite manage to get that one to fall. It looked like it was going to.
Gareth Hibbott very nearly fouled there. I think he's okay.
That situation, we're still waiting for the referee, Donna Evans, to call the foul. She's there on hand. She'll know whether it was a time foul or not. Quite often the klaxon will go off because the player's playing the shot just a split second before, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's been a time foul.
Hit it and pretty much guaranteed to pot it. He doesn't quite make it. And he had to play it at pace because he had to get the white ball out to have any chance of potting the black afterwards. Difficult shot that.
Yeah, and he could easily have hit the red and followed the white in as well, so it was definitely something to guard against. When the ball's that far in the pocket, there just isn't much to aim for.
A slight risk from Gareth Hibbott, shall we say, in setting that one up, because I think it was a slightly rushed shot, to say the least, but he'd have been sat there pretty nervously, I'd imagine, as Chris lined that one up. Yeah,
I think so. You would expect in that situation, Gareth would have expected Chris to make the ball over the pocket. He would have just been hoping that he didn't get onto the ball nicely. Well, Gareth's first shot, his free shot on this visit, wasn't particularly good. He would have wanted the yellow to, after potting the red, to come across to the middle of the table. Unfortunately, it hugged the rail and it's gone back up, but it blocked the other yellow as well. So he's still got plenty of work with these final four balls. Well, if this lands, this is brilliant. Oh, it's just short.
Has got the safety net in the sense he can play the one to the middle pocket, but I mean, it's a pretty tough safety net.
I think he's going to just try and lay another snooker, I think, or just play another safety. And what he'll want to do if he plays the safety is try and nudge things open as well. He's not going to go for the safety option. He's gone for the pot. Oh,
this is Gareth Hibbott we're talking about, Simon. He doesn't do safety. Such an aggressive player.
He really is an aggressive player. That looked like it was perfectly set up for a safety shot and win the frame next visit, but he's gone full-blooded.
This is why I love watching Gareth Hibbott play. He's such a great cue artist, and seldom does he take the safer option. If there's a chance to go for it, he will do it, and that is why he's brilliant. And he takes the frame. That really could have gone all the way, but Gareth Hibbott goes into the lead in set number 2. You can see there the stats are relatively even, just a couple of missed pots for Chris Day. Really the only difference maker there. I think Gareth just had a little bit more table time with 2 dry breaks for Chris.
Yeah, a couple of really good finishes from the break from Gareth. 2 break dishes, 1 reverse dish, with the 2 missed pots and the foul, both in the first set from Chris. Probably the difference in the match so far.
And a phrase there, straight out to the mind of Simon Webb. Not a dry break, but a wet break.
Yeah, I like the term. I'm not sure how popular it is in the pool world, but why not?
I'm sure it'll catch on, mate. And there we have it. It's a golden break for Gareth Hibbott. He's been trying that. You can't say he's not been practicing it. You can notice the way that he's breaking, gets this black ball on the move, and would you know it, it gets kicked into the middle pocket.
Absolutely fantastic. Gareth has been, you know, both players were talking about it this afternoon. We were talking about it this afternoon. Both players had it in practice, and it's great to see Gareth have one in this match. Well, great for us to see. It's not so good for Chris Day because he now finds himself in a hole in set number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about it earlier, Simon, in the short match that we played together. I can tell you how satisfying a golden break is to hit, ladies and gents. But there is a sort of science to it. We were alluding to it a little bit earlier with the way that Chris was breaking in particular. If you can get the balls underneath the black to kick it up the table, there's always that chance that it's going to move around and go into a pocket. There is a sort of science to it. It's an inexact one.
Yeah.
But there's a method to the madness.
Just try and get that black moving. We see that Chris is staying with the cut break because he thinks that's the best way to get the black moving. Not on this occasion, it didn't move at all really, and it's not particularly good split.
No, it's not been kind to him at all. And in fact, he is going to play safe right off the bat. And we could be heading into our first really tactical frame of the match, and we've now played, I think, 8 frames in total. We'd already had 2 or 3 last night. These two are not messing about in that sense.
Yeah, you have to see how the balls break, and sometimes it can't be helped. Sometimes they end up in a tactical position, and you have to play those 2 or 3 tactical shots, because if you go for a finish, if you pot the 3-4 open balls in this situation, you're just going to make the game easy for your opponent. So you have to be patient. You have to wait for the opportunity. It's certainly not the frame that Chris wanted to see in his break. He wanted to try and make a ball. He wanted to make a golden break, but wanted to make a ball at the very least and have an opportunity to get back into this set, especially having lost the first set.
And also, it's a bit of a strange instance here in that they're in a safety battle, but neither player has a colour set yet. So they're almost covering off every possible angle. It's quite a strange exchange, this.
Almost want to tease your opponent into going for a finish. You almost want to say, you know, well, you take on this half chance, you know, and sort of almost dangle the carrot. We talked about it quite a bit last night. You know, Gareth Hibbott's 2-0 up in this set. We saw quite a few tactical battles last night at 1-0 in the set. You know, and the player that's ahead in the set won't mind this tactical battle dragging on. You know, Gareth's 2-0 ahead. Even if this frame took 10 minutes and he lost it, he would still be in the driving seat. The other side of that, though, is Chris. He doesn't need to worry about the clock, the match clock at this stage. He doesn't need to try and rush it and risk losing the frame. He just wants to win this tactical battle, earn the opportunity, and there'll still be time left if that happens.
And he comes from a code which doesn't encourage this sort of play, but it does happen a bit more often, this type of frame. So it's something he's very familiar with. Yeah,
the world rules, there are more tactical frames. There's sort of no debating that really. Bad miss from Gareth, and so Chris will be, you know, familiar with that. But as will Gareth. Gareth's been around a long time, played many different versions of the game,
including snooker itself, which is the epitome of tactics. And I mean, a very good snooker player in his own right. He's sort of low-key known as the king of pub sports, Gareth Hibbott, for his proficiency at all forms of bar game. It's quite bizarre. And the interview that you had with him at the start of the show, where he talked about how he basically grew up in a social club, sort of explains that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for those that, well, we've talked about it many times here on Freesports, but Gareth Hibbott, he made back-to-back 147s last year, which is just quite an incredible feat. He really is a phenomenal snooker player, but he's also a fantastic darts player. Has a 10-dart finish to his name, which is very impressive. And of course, he's a pool world champion.
So what we're saying is, if you see Gareth down at your local after lockdown, don't think about challenging him. He's got a dartboard and a pool table at home. You won't win.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe stay away from dominoes and crib and all the other bits and pieces as well. It's not exactly what Chris wanted to do. He was hoping just to nudge those 2 yellows open, but at least he's landed on this yellow at the top of the table. Although landing on the next yellow will be difficult. He hasn't quite got the angle he wants. He has to play around with these reds. Oh, he was just able to really quick spin on that. He's really able to get quick reaction. I thought he had a fraction more angle.
Because of the way this table plays as well, that as soon as you put spin on the ball, it does fly around.
Yeah, it really does play beautifully. A little bit too much angle on this shot than is comfortable. But he has a little bit of room for manoeuvre with the white. It rattles, but it drops and is on the black.
An important frame this for Chris to win, and we've seen already in set number 1 that a 2-0 lead doesn't mean much. And Chris Day is on the board in set number 2.
He did what he needed to do. He won the tactical battle and a good finish.
Well, we're just talking about Gareth Hibbott. Here is his Super Series profile. 51 now is Gareth Hibbott, and has achieved so much in the game, but I love the fact that his favourite player is Ronan McCarthy. He's pretty much the only player on the circuit who can really say he's got a bit more experience than.
Yeah, I love that. Ronan McCarthy, one of the legends of the game. Nice little nod to him. Man United fan and a horse racing fan by the looks of things as well.
2 frames to 1 set to 0. Time running, 15-second shot clock in operation.
And as you hear from our referee Donna Evans, the 15-second shot clock is now on the go. Black on the way towards the middle pocket. It was nearly a second golden break. In as many breaks, I think it would have been for Gareth, which would have been incredible. This was really close. But what it is, it's one thing we maybe haven't seen with the breaks that have gone close to knocking the black in, is this is set up unbelievably open, and that's just about as good a break as he can hit in that circumstance.
Yeah, big powerful break, and opens them up far and wide, works his way around the table. That's what Gareth is known for, although on this occasion he just lost the white early. That's a bad mistake. I think that's just a sign for me that we're at 15 seconds a shot, and Gareth just wasn't able to give that all the thought he needed to. He was just a fraction rushed.
Chris clears out that bottom pocket with his free shot, and now it's set up quite beautifully for him to make it 2-2.
Do anything with the white for these final few shots. They're just roll-in pots. It's a sign that a player's worked a really nice pattern when his last 4 or 5 pots are all just straight in.
This for all square then in the second set for Chris Day. Easy as they come, and once again we've seen a 2-0 lead vanquished in our second set here, just as we did in the first. And this is Chris Day's player profile. CD from Sudbury in Suffolk.
Yeah, that shows what he's done on the UK tour and the World Brawl side of the game. Won the challenge event on the UK tour and European and world titles with England in the World Rules team event. It just shows the ability he has on the table, and there's no bigger pressure in pool than playing big team matches for your country.
Frame 5,
yeah, that's something you yourself have experience of, I know, and that was really, I think from having conversations in the past, one of your proudest moments as a player was representing England.
Absolutely, and the pressure you feel when you're playing for your country, playing for your teammates, and it's in one frame shootout pool. So there's none of this matches where you've got more frames and, you know, a best of. It is one frame. It is very sharp and it is very quick, and yeah, that's when you are under the most pressure.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Every single break that we've seen from either player, they've tried to knock that black ball into the left centre, and I know every single player who's in this competition is at home watching this and taking every single note they can. I think it could become a bit of a thing in this format. It's such a lethal weapon. If you can engineer that to become reasonably effective, even if you just get it down to a 1 in 10 shot, it's still such a weapon to be able to have.
Well, if you can win a frame that quickly, then, you know, it's such a big advantage. And the thing I found interesting about the golden break actually was the sheepish nature that Gareth actually celebrated it. He almost half raised his hand to apologise for a bit of good fortune.
I think it's always in a pool player's nature. It did get kicked in, I guess. You just have to. I think he'd feel almost remiss if he hadn't. Well,
it's a fairly new thing for the game. It is a rule that is here just for the shootout. Adds a bit of spice to the event.
So it's worth pointing out, when I hit mine earlier, it went straight into the pocket, having not been kicked in, and I didn't feel the need to apologise to you. I in fact celebrated quite aggressively.
I was about to say there was a lot more celebration when you made yours this afternoon.
I was tempted to retire there and then.
Gareth has just worked himself into a little bit of a problem. He's tried to play a precise position. He's awkward. I think this yellow does go to the right centre because he played for it there. He's just a little bit short of pace, and he has to control the white as well. He doesn't want this white going too far down the table. That's why the yellow's not going to reach.
It's not a foul because the cue ball did hit the cushion after contact, for those wondering. But once again, Chris Day in with a shout, and again, whilst the shot clock doesn't feel like it played a major part there, I think if Gareth had a little bit more time to line it up, he wouldn't have ran aground as in that sort of fashion.
I think there's 2 or 3 shots through that whole visit where I think the 15 seconds has caught him out. He hasn't been able to quite get his pattern right, quite get the precision with his positional play correct, and that's why he ended up with a very tough last ball. It's definitely something to keep an eye on as this match progresses. I don't think Gareth is looking particularly comfortable at 15 seconds.
Chris seems to be actually going the other way. He seems to be settling really nicely.
Well, he made that really big time error earlier on in the match, but since then he's certainly looked better with the 15 seconds than Gareth has.
This for 3-2. It's a complete reverse of what happened in the first. Gareth coming from 2-0 down. This time it's Chris. Never in doubt. 3-2 to the man from Suffolk. And he's in a very good position here with just over 8 minutes remaining in this second set, and the stats are pretty even there. Gareth has had more table time, but it also has drawn probably a couple more high-profile mistakes, especially in this set.
Well, when we last looked at the stats, there was very few missed pots for Gareth, if any, and now we're up to 3. He's got the foul in there as well, so the mistakes, certainly since the last time we looked at the stats, have all been on Gareth's side of the table, so you can see why Chris has made the comeback and turn this set around.
It's Gareth Hibbott to break, trailing 3 frames to 2, leading 1 set to 0. Time running.
It's a dry break for Gareth.
It's amazing, isn't it? Since he's had that golden break, he's almost become a different player in terms of not quite, doesn't look almost as settled as he did previously.
He won't mind that red dropping if it does, but it doesn't. So Chris Day will indeed take the yellow coloured set. It's not a bad lie, actually, this.
It's not too bad, although that doesn't help. I was about to say there's one yellow on the right-hand side that doesn't have a pocket, but he's just nudged another one over there, so things are getting harder. There's too long left in this set to start thinking about the fact that he's got 3-2 lead, almost trying to play tactically here to slow things down. Right, this yellow must sneak in. It doesn't look like it from our camera. Well, it doesn't. He's gone for the top pocket, and what an effort that is.
Tell you what. Tell you what a shot.
Just casually knocked that into the top pocket.
And I had a moment there as he was lining up that shot where I sort of looked over to you as my professional pool playing Sherpa is almost saying, what on earth is he trying here? I think he's taken everyone by surprise.
Well, I thought there must have been a gap to the centre pocket that didn't look like it was there. And the same thing with this yellow. I didn't think this yellow goes either, but it must do because he's played on it. I don't think it's a full pocket. Oh, it was a great shot. You can see it's just missed the red. It's only just coming off the jaw.
But has he potted himself into a problem here? Because this is a ridiculous shot to take on. He's only got 5 more seconds to play it. What has Chris Day got in the locker? Well, he went for a shot that I will always know as the Mark Boyle shot, where he's tried to bounce it off and drag it along the cushion. Just about the hardest shot you can play in the game.
Almost looks impossible. Certainly with that shot that Mark played, it just didn't look like it was possible. Very similar sort of shot, if not harder, although that's a very bad mistake from Gareth.
And this is an easier shot.
This is a far easier shot. Okay, it's still a very difficult shot, but easier than the previous one. And it's almost easier when your opponent's just made a mistake. That is a let-off for Gareth, because it was a careless mistake.
I actually expected Chris to go a lot closer with that pot, with the potting form that he's shown in this frame in particular. Some of the shots he's taken on have been sensational. Gareth, once again, a little bit rushed by the shot clock here.
I was actually surprised that Chris missed it. I thought he'd make the pot, but I wasn't sure whether he'd land nicely on the black. Well, red going down the table looks like it's made it awkward, and it has, but I think if Gareth gets behind this plant, I expect him to make the plant to the bottom right corner.
It feels like Gareth slipped off quite a fairly significant level in this second set, but he had it in the back of his mind that he's still in a pretty good position in the set overall. He's only a frame down, and it feels like almost he's clinging on in a way. It's strange.
It's just turned around with a golden break. That's another loose shot from Gareth. He needs to get cover, and he hasn't got it, so it's a third opportunity for Chris.
And this is by far and away the easiest shot he's had on this yellow. Where's the white ball going to end up though? Needs good position on the black.
He needs the white to stop. He needs the white to stop. He's okay.
Just.
Oh, he's having to just arc this round a little bit. We saw one of these from John McAllister last night. Yeah, good shot.
Frame.
One away then from all square in this match in the Super Series. Chris Day takes it to 4-2. Having been 2-0 down, it's total role reversal from set number 1. Remember, these two players are fighting for the right to face John McAllister in the quarter-finals. We'll have Emma Cunningham, Aaron Davies tomorrow night as they look to embark on their quest towards the Super Series final. Other half of the draw has got itself Mark Farnsworth, Jordan Sheppard, Alex O'Donoghue involved there as well. Some really big hitters all around the show wherever you look. I'm looking forward to one Mr. Fitzsimmons returning to the bays after what he did in Aberdeen.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Simon goes. What he did in Aberdeen was, wow, it was ridiculous. It was incredible. The best 2 minutes of pool I've ever seen. Pack-to-pack clearances to win the grand final. 2 minutes on the clock, including racking the balls.
And we might have to see something fairly similar from Gareth Hibbott here.
That is the set.
Set, Chris Day.
Well, just as we tried to see that up, it's not going to happen. It's going to end the set there, and then Chris Day takes it by 5 frames to 2. It's 1-1 in the Super Series, and this one is setting itself up to be a classic. A very warm welcome back to Free Sports live pool on your screens here on Saturday night. It's the Super Series, and we've got Simon and Stephen here with you to guide you through. It's been a fantastic opening couple of sets between Gareth Hibbott and Chris Day, and Chris has really acquitted himself particularly well in that second set. Seems to be really finding himself at home here, and Gareth Hibbott is running into a little bit of trouble, not just in that last set, but it's the worst possible start in this third set as well, going in off the break.
Very impressed with Chris so far. He's looked very composed. He's made a couple of mistakes, but that's only natural. It's what you expect to see, especially in shootout with short shot clock. What I am surprised at isn't that Gareth has struggled a little bit. It's the fact that he looked to be very sharp in set number 1. He found that golden break in set number 2 and then seemed to fall apart and look rushed on a lot of shots. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, is how Gareth is going to respond in set number 3.
And that in off the break will really hurt him, because you can guarantee he would have had that in a monologue in the break there and just thought, you know, set 2, pretty bad set, let's come out in set 3 and go again. And he's got the break there and skewed straight into the middle pocket. That's not misfortune, that's a queuing error, and now he's got to sit for another few minutes and watch Chris do his work, and it's difficult.
It is. When you get into a bad run and things aren't going your way and he looks rushed, it is very hard to settle yourself back down. And I guess if he is being rushed because of the 15 seconds, then he wants to get his work done early when it is 30 seconds a shot, something he's very used to with the Premier League and the IPA tournaments.
Chris here is really settling in quite beautifully and looking really impressive. Not seen a huge amount of him, of course, so an IPA player this year in the black ball format, but a run in this tournament will make his name very familiar, and that's what he's targeting. And if he keeps on playing like this, he's going to be a match for absolutely anyone.
Well, he's very sharp. Second reverse break of the night, and what a way to start set number 3.
This is what we're putting Chris up against. This isn't just a recent tournament, this is the highlights from Gareth Hibbott. You look there, final of the Masters, final of the British Open, won the Premier League, qualified to final against Luke Sanchez as well, was going to the World Final this year. He is, semi-final rather, he is a consistent performer.
Yeah, the recent tournament highlights goes back to about 2017. Before that, of course, he won the World Championships in 2016. He won multiple events prior to that. I think he won back-to-back tournaments in 2016 in the Scottish Open and Professional, and he was the #1 player at that time.
And you look there at not only the distance, as we see Chris then going off the break, and maybe a chance for a reprieve here for Gareth Hibbott, because these balls have separated themselves rather beautifully.
1 free shot, 1 visit.
It's perfectly divided in 2, but we talked there about the distance that he's gone in those tournaments, quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, championships, etc. We're not actually looking at who he's getting to play in those matches. He's only being beaten by the very cream of the crop in the pool world, the likes of, you know, Ben Davies, last year's world champion, Liam Dunstan, multiple champion as well across different events. He's putting himself against the very best and giving them everything to run them pretty close.
Absolutely, he's a very, very consistent player. He very rarely loses a match to somebody that will be high tension, somebody that you would expect him to beat. But the thing in the pool world, there are so many good players around at the moment that it's just hard to keep winning tournaments. That, you know, the fact that Gareth's got so many trophies on the mantelpiece is really a great achievement.
Yeah, it says a lot that, you know, you go into an event like the World Championships and you have absolutely no idea who's going to win it. It's very seldom that the favourite ends up winning it. It's usually somebody who goes around, because everyone has the ability to do that. There isn't the #1 really doesn't actually necessarily have to win that many tournaments. It just means they're a bit of a contender.
Absolutely. Neil Rayburn got to #1 in the rankings by being very consistent. You know, he was winning tournaments, but he was very, you know, almost always in a quarter-final and earned the ranking points that way. Mark Farnsworth was #1. It was because he won tournament after tournament after tournament. But it's so wide open now that you talk about favourites for the World Championships. I just don't think there is an out-and-out favourite anymore. It's always, you know, one of quite a few.
And the same again in this Super Series as well. Wouldn't surprise me to see the winner come from anywhere in this competition, especially with only 16 players within it. Gareth Hibbott needed this, and that is a frame on the board, and that will feel very, very nice for the man from Southport. Just needed to get himself set again. He was given a bit of a gift there, Chris going in off the break and leaving such a nice lie, but still needed doing, and that will feel a whole lot better.
You said he needed it, and he really did. He'd lost 6 frames on the trot prior to that. He was 2-0 ahead in set number 2. Lost 5 straight frames and lost the only frame here in set number 3, so he really needed that opportunity. And I guess it was one thing getting it and it being what we would consider a good opportunity, fairly wide open, but you've still got to take them. And the way he was going in the pre, you know, it shows a lot of composure and, to be able to find that.
Oh, and he's going to go in off again. Gareth Hibbott, you can tell there by the way he walked away from that table how frustrated he was there. Let's have a little analysis of this. He's a bit unlucky. In fact, he's very unlucky.
He is unlucky, but if he's honest with himself, he knows he hasn't hit a good break. When you're going for that cut break, normally you want the white to come on and off the side cushion and back into the pack area. He caught it just a fraction thin, and the white, because of that, started racing around the table. So whilst it was unlucky the way it went in off, he knows he didn't hit a good break.
Chris Day there just, I think, tried to inspire some life into the bottom of the table with that free shot. He's not really succeeded in doing so. This is a tricky setup here for either colour set.
And it's another sign of the break that Gareth hit, that he didn't get the power going through the pack because they really haven't opened up at all.
I think either Chris could decide to go game, as it were, or do you think he's just taking a colour just to set himself up for a little bit of a safety battle here?
You could tell he wants to be aggressive. There's only really one yellow that doesn't have a pocket that needs moving, and that's the one just on the left hand side by those 2 reds. And with there being a yellow near the left centre pocket and a yellow near the yellow that's a problem, if he doesn't have to do much to create an angle to develop things, so he's certainly going to look for this finish. He's just landed 2 straight on the one to the left and 2 straight on the one to the left centre pocket. So now he's starting to run out of balls.
Yeah, he's a touch unlucky there. He's playing a cute little kiss to open up the black ball as well. Hasn't quite landed as he would have liked.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference. An inch closer to the red below the black, and he's just perfect. He can just top through, knock the red, bump the yellow down towards the corner pocket, but straight he can't do anything with it, and so much so that he's choosing just to pull back and play the containing shot.
And Gareth here is, if he can get away a good safety shot in response, is actually in a pretty good position with the number of balls that he has on the table compared to Chris. Chris has the power position in a way, because he's closer to finishing the frame, and he's not that far away. There's only 1 ball tied up. If Gareth can get him into a battle here, the longer this goes on, the more it favours the former world champion.
I don't think that was an attempt for a 3-ball plant. I think that was more a case of just trying to nudge the yellow out that was by those 2 reds. Hasn't really come out as much as Chris would have wanted to.
Not touching.
You would definitely say that with reds having more balls on the table, that Gareth's in the driving seat, but he has to be careful. He has to be careful and patient to wait for that opportunity. Crucial tactical battle though. 1-1, 1-1.
Foul.
Key 3rd set. You can see
shot,
Chris
1
just
visit.
feathered the red on his way through to the yellow, so that's a bad mistake.
Time out.
Gareth has won this tactical battle.
Time running, please.
Just feathers the red, as you can see there. Gareth wants to clear this bottom left-hand corner of yellows with his free shot and hopefully give himself the opportunity to go for a frame. I like the control that Gareth's played that with. A lot of players may have played that with a bit more force to make sure he cleared the pocket. Gareth's played it with control. He knew exactly what he was doing, and it couldn't have come out nicer for him.
Gone after his difficult ball early at the top of the table. At this position, you've got to back him to clear these away. It just goes to show, doesn't it, the advantage in a safety battle that just sheer numbers has. And Chris was 1 inch away from taking that frame, you felt like, and all of a sudden he's been let down and outnumbered in the safety battle, really.
That's what I find so fascinating about top-level pool, is if you're playing in your local pub, almost it's a race to who can pot your balls first, and if you're, you know, 1 ball away from the black and your opponent's got 7, you think you're ahead, but at the top level it turns around, and if you go for a finish and you don't make it, the more balls through the finish you go, the further behind in a sense that you are. Gareth's just struggled to get into perfect position after his free shot, and he's left in a situation where the red just below the black isn't open to the obvious pockets. He may have to play for it into the top right hand corner. Well, he's decided to move into it, and he would have wanted to stay on the red at the bottom of the table, but he can't see it, so he's going to have to go up the table to come back down. No
covered that really nicely.
Yeah.
Had to move into plan B and potentially even plan C there, Gareth Hibbott, but he has worked his way around them really nicely in the end. That will take the 3rd frame of the 3rd set. A few minutes to go until we hit the 15-second shot clock marker, which has been struggling with a little bit so far. Coming up on Free Sports, that is tomorrow's game. Emma Cunningham versus Aaron Davies. This is going to be a really interesting one.
I'm really looking forward to this. We started the opening 2 shows of this Super Series with World Champions. We've got another one. Emma Cunningham, one of the greatest players in the ladies' game. She's won so many titles. I think she's been World Champion 4 times. She lost in the final this year, as did Aaron Davies. He lost in the final this year to John McAllister. He was a surprise finalist at the World Championship this year, but he was really good value for his place in that final.
That's arguably the nicest break that Chris Day has hit all evening. Really gets into this well, loads of movement. And I think the black's just about free enough from those yellows at the top of the table to make this into a really gettable chance.
It's a gettable chance, but I think Chris is probably going to be either forced to try and move the black or move the yellows, or accept that he's going to have a double on that black. And whilst we've seen players at the top level make doubles look really easy, I always find it makes it trickier when you know that your last ball on the table is your hardest ball. When you know you've got to play that big shot last. As we've explained in a previous frame, if you get that far through a finish and you don't get it, you are making it easy for your opponent, so that just ramps up the pressure. Nice shot, just developed the hardest red on the table, knocked it out into the open, so there shouldn't be any problems now getting to the black. It is really just a case of whether he wants to try and move it or accept the double. I think he could play this in, if he wanted to try, and he could play the delicate shot and try and land on the black. You see the red that's at the top end of the table. If he finishes I'd say about 3/4 ball on that red, he could either screw across the table into the black, or he could come off the top cushion and almost target the 2 yellows as a positional shot. And he should be guaranteed to have the angle he wants. He's straight in on this yellow to the red to the right centre, that he should be able to pick his angle. So we'll know whether he wants the double or not.
Is it a bit of a gamble though, leaving a cannon heading into the final shot?
Well, it depends how confident you are with the double. He has the angle, the perfect angle to either screw across the table. It is the screw across the table shot he's playing. And it's gone wrong.
That's the risk.
That is the risk, and in hindsight, it's 2020. You know, obviously, I could sit here and say that he should have just accepted the double, and you know, you'd fancy him to make the double. But you know, if he gets that right, we'd be raving about what a great shot.
What's he got in the locker here then? He's got 8 seconds to try and conjure something up. Goes for the very thin cut.
15-second shot clock in operation.
He actually overcut it.
Yeah, that was a great effort from Chris. Very difficult pot. Knowing full well the back of his mind, if he misses that black, he's 3-1 behind in this. When you feel the crucial third set.
And we talked about how Gareth has not found it the easiest dealing with this 15-second shot clock. The way this is lined up should almost be a bit of training for him with it, because this is almost a training exercise, the way these yellows are lined up for him here.
Yeah, just as long as he makes this plant, they should be nicely open for him. I don't think the middle of the 3 yellows passes the other yellow to the bottom left. He has to take the one nearest the pocket first. Shouldn't cause a problem. He can just stun this in, take the yellow to the opposite centre.
At least he knows the black's a gimme.
Yeah.
Still a long way to go in this third set. 15 minutes and change. Gareth Hibbott goes 3-1 up. It's been a good response to a pretty difficult time that he was having at one stage in this one. Gareth Hibbott makes it 3-1 in frames in this third set, and with it being poised at 1-1, we talked about this a little bit last night, Simon, this is such a big set to win. The difference between knowing you're 1 away and knowing you've got to win everything is massive.
Yeah, you can't help but feel that the winner of the person who wins that third set, that crucial third set, is going to have all the advantage going into set number 4 to try and wrap up. They almost get 2 bites at the cherry, so you've got to say Gareth's in the driving seat now. And to be honest, the way he played the back end of set number 2, you have to say it's quite a bit of a turnaround to see the way he's playing here in set number 3.
Really has gone everywhere this game so far. We've seen form deviate through both players throughout this game, and Gareth just avoids screwing into the top corner there. And in the end, he has had a pretty good break. Very nearly wasn't, but he got away with it.
Yeah, he considered himself a little bit lucky. He probably even held up his hand to Chris just to say, apologise for the touch of fortune. It's been a bizarre match so far. The players are winning frames in blocks. You know, Gareth lost the opening 2 frames, won the next 4, then lost the next 6, and now he's won the next 3. It's been a very strange match in that way.
Yeah, there's almost been no to and fro at all, has there? There's very clearly been one dominant player, and then they give that away for a few frames, come back. Gareth Hibbott has wiped these out in no time at all, which means he's got a good 10 minutes here, assuming these 2 go in, which there's absolutely no reason he shouldn't, to find himself the 5th frame, which would ice the set for the former world champion. 4-1 in no time at all for Gareth Hibbott. That was under 2 minutes, I think, that clearance. It really, really opened up for him.
Very quick from Gareth. It was all about the break. He was a little bit fortunate on the break, but once it opened up for him, he was able to run through that really quickly, and 3-frame lead with not long left on the clock.
We don't have really favourites in this form because seeding does go a little bit out of the window, but one player we should keep an eye on in this draw, coming from the second block of games, Jordan Sheppard, the bottom name at that list, tends to be the go-to man in Shootout pool.
He's all but owned the shootout since we've seen it come on our screens here on Free Sports. He's won the shootout 5 times. He's lost in another final. He really has been the shootout star, and he's one of the best players in the world anyway. Won multiple professional events, but you know, the shootout is almost a tailor-made event for him, and he's really proved that with what he's done in the last 18 months. Oh, that's unlucky. That is really unlucky for Chris, and that could well be the end of him in this set.
1 free shot, 1 visit, time running.
For that, White kicked into the centre pocket. He had that break perfectly, and sometimes, you know, there's a lot of skill in the break, but there are times when there is a lot of luck in the break as well, and that's gone against him.
Not the end of the world that Gareth missed that shot. It's made that yellow a whole lot easier. The rest now is fairly open for him. Wouldn't be surprised to see this 3rd set ending imminently.
He's, well, going by the way he played the previous set, you'd say won't take long, although he's just come up a little bit short of perfect position. He wanted to be a little bit straighter. I know that he wanted to be able to nudge into the red that's just below the yellow he's about to play, but he has more angle on this than he wanted.
Again, a little bit of shot clock pressure just forces him to play it quick. It's come out nicely for him though. He's now back in ideal position. This was a big, big set to win. Gareth Hibbott has turned up in a big way. He's about to win his 5th frame in a row.
Lost 6 in a row.
Some turnarounds in form, isn't it? And that'll do it. 2-1. Gareth Hibbott leads. An incredible match, really.
Lots of swings, yeah. Both players have at times been playing fantastic ball, and a couple of mistakes here and there, but we've seen some great ball from both players as well. And Gareth, he's just found something from somewhere. He just found gear and was able to take out a couple of good finishes. And to be fair, you have to say Chris was a little bit unlucky with a couple of those breaks as well.
Do you think Gareth has now just started to adjust to that shot clock? You noticed him struggling a lot with it in that 2nd set in particular. You noticed there the numbers are almost, apart from that 1st set, they really have been almost whitewashes, really, the way they've played. But in that last set in particular, Gareth seemed to cope with the 15 seconds a lot easier.
I think, yes, he did, but I think there's still an element for me where he was able to keep the patterns simpler, or he had breaks that were a little bit more open. He still looks just that fraction rushed. We saw last night John McAllister, he didn't look under time pressure at all, even at 15 seconds. I'm looking at Gareth and I'm seeing just that element of rush in the way he's playing, although he was better in that last set than the previous set.
Certainly. Well, we're moments away from getting ourselves back underway here with our 4th set here on Free Sports in the Super Series. It's been brilliant entertainment. Really enjoyed having this back. I'm sure you are as well here on Free Sports. What better way to spend your Saturday night, eh? Chris Day then could really use a good break. He's crunched them once again. White's inbound, and he can go about his work here. That is a perfect way to start. That's just what he would have been hoping for before he struck that ball.
Yeah, it's what he needs. He needs things to turn around. If he goes behind in this set, then it will feel a long way back. That's a good opening shot. Pressure on that opening shot, but he's managed to knock it in, and now they are there for him. Just the yellow, black and red in a line, just semi-awkward. The black will need a little nudge, or possibly a little nudge into the red. A few different ways of playing it.
Just what the doctor ordered this here for Chris Day. Are we about to see another 5-6 frame swing? Nothing would surprise us at this point.
Well, Chris certainly is hoping so. He's played this visit just perfectly. Really worked his way around nicely. Simple black.
And take a look at the shot clock. That is 90 seconds for the first break and dish of set number 4. Chris Day is off to a flyer. He is, of course, now back to the wall. He can't afford to lose the next set. That would cede the match. As we remind ourselves of the tournament bracket here. Again, that we're not talked about too much is Simon Fitzsimmons against Sean Storey. We've talked a little bit about what Fitzsimmons was able to do in that match we talked about up in Aberdeen, but he's got an opponent there in Sean Storey that's certainly going to give him a really close encounter. Yeah,
so Sean's a great player. He's done well on the IPA. You know, one of the top amateurs last year, and this year he's now a professional. Won an event last year, and he's going to be a challenge for Simon Fitzsimmons. Simon's won, obviously, the Aberdeen Grand Final that we talked about. He's made a World Championship final, and he's also made a couple of other shootout finals. So he's certainly got a lot of form in this style of pool.
Well, whilst Gareth Hibbott was able to knock off a lot of frames in a row, we have noticed this being a bit of a trend. His break hasn't been as reliable as it usually is, and that white ball has all too often found itself nestling in a pocket on a Gareth Hibbott break.
I think that's 3 or 4 times now in the match where he has potted the white off the break, and you know, it's when you say that, it's almost a surprising statistic that he's ahead in the match, because that's really hard, like really tough to pot. You keep potting the white off the break and actually find yourself in front. Just a couple of problems to work out. This is not a nice layout, although the yellows look fairly open. The yellow at the top of the table, the one nearest the right centre pocket, I don't think that goes in the right centre. If it does, it's very tight. But the 2 yellows nearest the left centre pocket are a bit more awkward. And that's not good. He's a long way short of what he needed to do there, and he's in a bit of no man's land. I don't even think he has a double on.
Yeah, the black's in the way. He's going to have to get a protractor out here. Chris Day, and he's got 15 seconds to think about what he's going to play. This is not easy.
Yeah, if he's not careful, he's the wrong side of the table, and the shot clock's going to start beeping. We could see him rush here. There we go, 3 seconds. He's not got down on the shot yet.
Has he saved it? Oh, I can't believe it.
Well, he'll be very happy that that's not gone in. He's, I think in the end, it was probably a little bit of hit and hope. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice. Maybe he was playing the treble, but it's landed in a position where it actually gives him some sort of chance in the frame. I just feel that one coming. He was the wrong side of the table with 5 seconds left. He had to get round to be able to get down on the shot, and it's not the first time he's been in that situation in the match. Gareth just trying to move those 2 problem reds, and all he manages to do is make it worse. He may just be able to see the red to the right centre, and if he is, he may be able to come round and attack those 2 reds, or certainly one of those 2 reds again. I think if he's thin enough on this, he may be able to attack the yellow that's over the pocket, which would help him. Yeah, he has played for the yellow. He wouldn't have been on the next red if he'd potted the yellow, but it would have taken away one of the balls for Chris and giving Gareth an opportunity to find a better safety. With that, I was going to say, with that yellow over the pocket, it's hard for Gareth to find any sort of safety.
I think both players here in this frame are grateful that the 15-second shot clock hasn't kicked in, otherwise we could have seen some pretty rogue shots. This has not been easy for either player. Really had to engage the brain here. Gareth Hibbott still has a huge amount of work to do.
cut back and develop shot. Oh, brilliant.
He deserves to be on it. I think he is.
Oh, that's incredible. He is on this. It's thin, it's awkward, but what a shot that is. His whole visit, you felt that it was getting away from him. You felt he was running into trouble. He was not going to be able to make the finish. And all of a sudden, that shot turns the whole visit around.
Needs to make sure, of course. Needs to make sure, and hasn't, after making an outrageous shot with his penultimate red, nailing the tricky final one. He's missed the relatively simple black.
And he's missed it by a decent margin as well for Gareth Hibbott. He's, I've already said it tonight, he's one of the cleanest potters of a ball in the world of pool. And I mean, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that that one stayed on the table. All that hard work done. That would have been the finish of the tournament so far. I know we're only early into this tournament, but that would have been some finish.
Wow, Chris Day. What a steal. 2 in a row at the start of a set that he must win. Little puff of the cheeks from Chris Day. He knows he's got away with one there.
Yeah, and well punished by Chris. You're under a bit of pressure there because you need to make sure that you fully punish that mistake from Gareth, because it was a bad one. And okay, they were there for him, but he's managed to make sure, and he was in perfect position all the way through, and in good shape in this fourth set.
Yeah, you can see where that contacted the cushion rather than the jaw, wasn't it? He did miss it by quite a way. Having nailed one of those difficult shots you could want to hit.
He's normally such a clean potter of the ball.
Trading 2 sets to 1.
Really is a big surprise to see Gareth miss that black, and that could be a really big moment in this match.
Chris now has the break. And he has been breaking really well of late. Just to say that, of course. I've placed the old commentator's curse upon him. Got into them well enough, but nothing down.
His break's been a little bit hot and cold tonight. He's hit some brilliant breaks, but he's had a few come out badly, and he's actually been a bit unlucky with a few as well. I don't think the break's been his friend. I think Gareth could say the same with 4 fouls off the break, so probably fairly even. Slightly irritating, I'm sure, for Gareth. That was a much harder red than the black that he's just missed, and made no mistake.
I'm sure a tiny part of his brain will be thinking about that as well. It's a similar sort of shot, but you're right, it was much more difficult.
That just shows the only thing that's, well, not the only thing, but what makes the miss black difficult was the fact that it's the ball to win the frame.
These reds are lined up pretty interestingly, Simon. What is he thinking here? Does he have to move anything, or does he have the ability to work his way in and around them?
Well, he's eyeing up a plant in a couple of shots' time onto the left corner. And the yellow is half in the way, so he's got to be very delicate with this. And he's also got to watch where you can just see he's lining it up, but the ball he's playing, so the red that he's going to hit is going to go close to the yellow on the left-hand side. So he needs to be careful that he doesn't tie that ball up as well. So he may play this with a little bit of pace, and he also may well move into the yellow, move into the red on the bottom end of the table. Oh, perfect. Such a delicate shot and so well played. A lot going on in that shot.
Well, you set that up quite perfectly for us, Simon, and he played it to the letter of your description.
Yeah, shame I couldn't do that when I was on the table myself. But
we're as ever grateful to have your pool mind in our ears, guiding us through. That was a brilliant bit of work from Gareth Hibbott. He's now got 2 relatively simple shots in comparison here. to almost reverse the slump. Chris Day winning the first 2 frames of this set. Are we about to see another 2-frame lead go at the start of a set? Seems to be the trend tonight.
It really has been, but I think Gareth's just come up a roll short of really simple. I know that he's left himself a simple black and he made that look easy, but he could easily have ended up with that white an extra foot up the table if he didn't hit that well. He's played it well, and it's a great response to the Miss Black, it has to be said.
Frame.
Certainly was, and Gareth Hibbott gets himself on the board 4 frames away from a potential victory. What we've got coming up for you on Free Sports. This is over the next 3 days. Emma Cunningham and Aaron Davies, 2 big world finalists this year, go head-to-head tomorrow in your Sunday night entertainment. And at the start of the week, Carl Brown and David McNamara will compete on Monday, and Mark Farnsworth is in action on Tuesday evening. He takes on Ben Rowland.
Looking forward to seeing Mark Farnsworth in action, and especially in this format of Paul. I'd like to see him play with this shot clock. For me, he's got one of the best Paul brains. He's been one of the best players in the world for a long time, and his patterns are so good that he may find this shot clock not too much of a problem because he keeps things simple.
We've been talking about the Gareth Hibbott break and how good it can be and how it's not really been on form tonight. The white's found itself in a pocket all too often. That's about as good as he can hit them.
I know that he's had a golden break tonight, but for me that's his best break of the night. Such a good split of the balls.
His first shot may well end up being the hardest one. He made it look pretty simple. Keep your eye on the clock, ladies and gents. This might go quick. Still plenty of time left in this set.
It's just one yellow that he needs to make sure he lands on the right-hand side of the table for. Cool players. Gareth's gone straight after it. There was plenty of margin there for him, but it was the one ball that if he didn't go after early, he could get in a bit of problem with. And now he's on it. This really should be plain sailing. Wants to be on the one that he's straightish on, but the blacks could be in the way. Well, he's saying he's on it. Oh, doesn't want to be hampered by his red. That's a bad mistake. It's now a very tough pot to the bottom left corner, but he can't play good position. He may not even be able to get on this yellow. That red that he's hanging over the top of could well block the path to the yellow at the top of the table, even if he makes the pot.
Which is by no means a guarantee. This is tough. Played the pot really well. He's on the yellow at the top end of the table. He made that look really, really simple. That was really, really not. Played that brilliantly.
Yeah, he's not out of the woods yet. The black doesn't go to the bottom right pocket nearest our camera just there, which means he's going to have to probably come twice across the table, and there's reds in the way. And he hasn't managed to do so.
29 seconds to think about what comes next. You can see there the red blocking his way to the pocket of choice. Beep you heard there means we will be going to a 15-second shot clock immediately after this shot from Gareth Hibbott. He goes for the cross double and he jaws it. Chris Day,
15-second shot clock in operation.
Big chance here to go too clear with 14 minutes only remaining in this 4th set. Go play the safe shot.
Well, he's given Gareth a look at the edge of this black, which is slightly careless. I don't think there's a huge, well, there isn't a huge amount he can do with it. This could be one where you just try and get it moving, hit it as hard as you can. Hope for some luck. And he hasn't had it. That Gareth not clearing up at the chance he had in this frame, it wasn't as big a mistake as the miss black in the earlier frame, but it was almost as big a mistake because it was laid out so nicely and they were all there for him. He just had to mind his work, and he ended up in a bit of a mess where there wasn't one.
Oh, it takes a couple of inches extra on a shot.
Yeah, I think he got a cannon, you know, 2 or 3 balls from the end that he wanted just, say, 3/4 ball, and he got it almost full. And then from there, he just couldn't get back to perfect position. Not a gimme on this red. We've seen some great potting from Chris so far today.
To move 2 away. In both senses, of his opponent and of winning the set. Chris Day nails it. It's 3-1 in the 4th set. A set, remember, that Chris Day has to win. And it's really spicing up here into a real cracker.
Yeah, it looks like we could be going the distance once again. Last night we went 5 sets, and Chris is looking good here in set 4 to take us all the way again. Been very up and down so far.
Yeah, it certainly has. And still with 12 minutes left to go on the set clock here. Still not out of the woods though, Chris Day. We've already seen Gareth Hibbott rattle off a 2-minute frame. That's even discounting the idea of golden breaks and the like. This is still very much in the open here. Chris Day is going to come up dry. And it's a pretty good table this for Gareth Hibbott. This set is far from over. Just under 12 minutes to go in the set, and with a 15-second shot clock, that is oceans of time, but Gareth Hibbott not with the ideal start there. He's opened it back in for Chris Day.
And once again, we're still seeing Gareth not overly settled at 15 seconds. I mean, I don't think you can be. 15 seconds is just very tough, but we've seen Chris and we've seen the players last night just look a little bit more comfortable than Gareth with the 15 seconds. Well, this time it was the Gareth Hibbott miss was a much trickier shot than previous misses. Just feathered the yellow on the way through. He's back at the table following that misplant from Chris.
And again, I think that's an element of the shot clock coming into it with Chris there. He looked a little rushed as he got down on the shot.
Wow, that's a tough shot. We've talked about these middle pockets on the black ball table. They do play tight. And that was tough from the bottom cushion. So mistakes creeping in from both players, adding to the drama in this frame. One ball to move here for Chris. That red on the left-hand side, he needs to move it. Don't think he's quite got the angle to do it on this shot. I think he's just too straight. Yeah, well, maybe he's played on it. It does go to, must go to the top left-hand corner. Tough pot though. And if he's cannoning into the yellow, landing on the next red will be very difficult as well.
Fired that in. Not sure if he's on a pot though.
If he's on,
squeeze around to the middle.
If he's on this red and he's getting down on it, and he is on it, that was a brilliant shot. Wow. To be able to cannon into that red, create the cue power to drive through the yellow rather. Brilliant from Chris Day.
Still not home and hosed. This black is tough. Goodness me, it's tough.
Well, I don't think, well, he can't cut this back to the centre pocket. It doesn't go to the top. I don't think it goes to the top right anyway.
This is potentially the set. And it's not going to go. Oh, that could be such a big moment in this match. It could be such a big moment. It may not be. But Gareth Hibbott will do everything he can to make it so. He's just tried to wiggle into the black there. He might have an angle to do it again here. He does, and now this is wide open, and he'll go within one frame with plenty of time left on the clock in this set here to tie things up and maybe even look to win it outright.
And it's Gareth's break next as well. He really knows he should get these. There's no issues with these 4 balls at all. And his last break was huge. It was only a positional error that cost him the break and dish.
Simple clearance. And Gareth Hibbott is just creeping back into this 4th set. It's really spicing up. Brilliant entertainment this. And let's have a look at the stats.
Yeah, very interesting. We're seeing the missed pots creep up from both players as the tension in this match grows. It's to be expected. There's 15 seconds. I don't think either player's really settled down with it at all. Very tight number of frames won.
I think one step we can take a look at there, which is pretty indicative, is 6 drive breaks from Chris, 4 reverse dishes from Gareth. When Chris isn't cashing in on a break, he tends to leave him pretty open. Oh, would you believe it? Another golden break from Gareth Hibbott.
Absolutely incredible. And once again, he's gone for the sheepish raise of the hand. He's still, it's not comfortable to celebrate it.
Well, that's how you do it. That right there. Set your recorders, watch that back, players, as many times as you want and figure that shot out, because that is how you do it. Gareth Hibbott, his 2nd golden break of the night. He's tied things up and we've still got so much time to go here in this set. This is now wide open. Chris Day must be wondering what on earth he's got to do here.
Frame 7, Chris Day to break, 3 frames all, trading 2 sets to 1.
That is quite incredible. Gareth's 2nd golden break of the night to tie these scores up in this set. Absolutely brilliant. And Chris is very close himself. That black was very close to that right centre pocket.
And again, it could well be a dry break that results in a reverse dish. The balls are really open. He's splitting them well. What's usually ended up happening on Chris's breaks, which I'm sure he'd say to us afterwards, is whenever I've broken well, I've not potted, and whenever I've broken badly, I've got a ball. It's not quite worked out for him.
Yeah, the break has definitely been against Chris tonight.
But he is back in. Wasn't a shot there for Gareth. All of a sudden, it's just opened back up for Chris, and he really needs this. There's still a long way to go. Could well be 4 frames all. Still plenty of time for a couple of frames here, especially as if we expect, with the way the balls are lined up here, that this frame is not going to last a huge amount longer. It's getting interesting. This is what we love about Shootout, Paul.
Oh, it's getting very, very exciting. This is what Chris wanted after having to sit there and watch that golden break, though. Seen his lead disappear, but this is a... Oh, I was about to say it was a very good opportunity. They were there for him. He didn't have to do much at all. Just mind his work, but he has missed a simple pot.
Could be a crucial miss. That's a really good shot from Gareth as well to open up that red. I just wonder if we're seeing a moment similar to what we saw last night, where Gareth, with all his experience, is just sensing it's his time to go for the kill here.
This is really poor from Chris. He knows it. Like, if he had missed it because he was trying to keep the white straighter, you can almost forgive him for trying to pinch the pocket. But he wanted that white to travel up the table a little bit more. So he wanted to hit the white centre, pot the ball centre pocket, and that would have been perfect. So it's a poor miss, even under the pressure of the situation. Red at the top of the table is going to be Gareth's problem. He's played on it. Doesn't want to be straight.
Take one shot.
He's landed on it as nicely as he possibly could. You know, this is still a tough pot. Oh, flies in.
He's made that look really, really easy when in fact it really wasn't. Still not home free here. Here's Hibbott.
Yeah, black's just awkward enough at the top of the table. Landing on it nicely is difficult, and that doesn't look like a great angle to me. It looks like the natural angle would be topping towards the black rather than to the left-hand side of the table. He may just be able to get enough topspin on it to get to the left-hand side. No, he's having to screw this.
Oh, this is a tough black. He's got about as much angle as he dared there without going behind the yellow. This to go one away from the victory. It does drop, the white safe, and Gareth Hibbott is one from home.
Oh, what a finish from Gareth Hibbott. He has had to pull out 2 or 3 brilliant shots in that visit to give himself the opportunity. Absolutely incredible. We saw it last night. The champion stepped up when the pressure was on, and Gareth has done it in that frame. He is 1 frame away from the next round.
See there the prize that is on offer. Judy's prize, some might say, a matchup against John McAllister in the quarterfinals. Should be a cracker, whoever ends up playing the current reigning world champ. And you may also be hearing, not only are we getting some
time running,
stormy potting from Gareth Hibbott on the table. The thunderstorm is currently battering its way down in the West Midlands, might be being picked up on a couple of the microphones around the arena here. It is absolutely hammering it down. But Gareth Hibbott there just wanted a ball. He hasn't got it. And Chris Day is fighting for his place here in the Super Series. He's got 1 minute and 45 seconds and counting to take these reds out and halve the set and stay in it.
And they're all there. They are all there. He doesn't. It's very similar to the previous frame. He doesn't need to do anything, just needs to mind his work. Now, that for me, is he going to rush this to try and get himself an opportunity for a bold break or a really quick fire finish in the next frame? I don't think there'll be enough time for another frame. And if you're Chris Day and you only get a draw in this set, then you can only take it to a shootout to win this match.
3 crucial pots for Chris Day. That's a really good shot, but the cueing is not perfect here. This is awkward.
And a stretch.
Oh, didn't it? Heart in the mouth time for Chris Day. Sinks the black as well. It's 4-4. I think we may well have time for one more break. Donna Evans here is going to get her skates on.
Going to make me set these up, boys.
And Chris Day will have one go at trying to pop the black off the break.
Putting Donna Evans, the referee, under a little bit of pressure to try and get these racked up in time. Look at the clock in the top corner. This is a race against time to see whether Chris has the opportunity for the break. All eyes on the black.
Couldn't wish for a better referee to do this, by the way. Donna is absolutely lightning. 4 seconds. Can he nail the black? This would be incredible. It is on the move. It's not going to go. We do split the 4th set. Time does ring. Well, Shootout pool is full of drama. This has been one of its finest examples. We go into the next set next. Welcome back to the West Midlands. Thunder and lightning outside, and some lightning quick play at the end of that final, at the end of the last set rather, to take us to where we are now. You see the scoreline: 2.5 for Gareth Hibbott, 1.5 for Chris Day. This is the final set of the night. If Chris Day can win it, which he has to, it will take us to a tie break, which I think really would just encapsulate the drama that we've witnessed tonight. It really has been a crazy game, gone all over the place.
Each set you feel like it's taken a lot out of us, or a lot out of the players. It's been so exciting all the way through. 2 golden breaks as well. Could we see a tie break? The tie break format would be, it's a sudden death. The black will be on the black spot at the bottom of the table. The cue ball will be on the spot just above the bulk line. As you can just see it on the table there, a little mark. Cue ball will be there, and it will be if you pot the ball or do you miss the ball, each player in sudden death format. Just hidden by that red, you can just see half of the spot.
And it used to actually be on the balk line where most players would usually break from, but the difference that the 1.5 to 2 inches tops makes to the shot is quite stark actually, which doesn't feel like it would, but the difference it makes is huge.
Just adds to the terror of the shot, just makes it a little bit more difficult. Chris would have loved that yellow to drop as well. He played for it to drop as well, and it stays on the table. That just adds a little bit of problem to the next shot. He needs to get back not too far away from where his hand is.
Right at the bottom of the ball, going to dig right in here for the deep screw. Played really nicely. Almost played it too nicely. Pace on the table, taking that dangerously close to the middle pocket, but he's played this first frame of the final set really nicely. 1-zip to CD. Belting game this, and all indicators that even if it doesn't go to the wire, it's going to go pretty close.
It's been an incredible game so far. First dish, Chris to start off this deciding or final set. You can see he's had 3 reverse dishes. But you look at the breaks for Chris, 7 dry breaks, 2 fouls from the break. Break hasn't been his friend in this match. Gareth hasn't had a huge amount of success on his own break. 4 dry and 4 fouled as well. So the break's been hot and cold for Gareth because he does have those 2 golden breaks as well.
Chris here, I think, has slightly changed his break. It's almost in between a cut break and a straight break, wasn't it?
I think he's been chopping and changing just a fraction, moving it around, trying to find that sweet spot. And I think he's probably gone a lot more across just for this last visit, this last break, to try and get a bit more power through the pack. He's certainly changed to go front ball.
And look at the spread of balls there. It's not helped him in any way. Gareth at the table makes a fairly simple pot, gets a little bit of luck with the positioning there. But he will not mind that, however much his hand signal attempts to convey his deepest sorrow to his opponent.
It's almost an acknowledgement rather than I'm sorry. Similar to Chris in the previous frame, opportunities for a reverse dish. He's going to play the ball he's nearest to, or he's considering playing the ball he's nearest to. It's a delicate shot, so he's decided to go for the one over the pocket instead. Doesn't want to be hampered. That's okay. When he nudges into the black, which he has to do on this shot, he's just got to be careful that he doesn't knock the black safe. See, it could have easily gone, you know, that red only just reached the centre pocket and the black's gone very close to into trouble. Any harder and he would have had a problem.
Really good clearance this from Gareth Hibbott for the second straight reverse dish in our final set here in the Super Series. It is just going to keep going closer and closer here. Both players are taking themselves closer and closer to that finishing point, and it seems to be bringing the best out of them. We're sort of starting to see a few less unforced errors and occasionally a couple of more forced ones.
I think it's something we've seen throughout the whole match. Both players have had moments of some brilliant pool. They've had little runs of 4 or 5 frames where they played great pool, and then they'll make a very careless mistake and give away a frame. To start this set, we've seen a clearance off the break each, so it may come down to which player makes the careless mistake in this final set.
And also it just goes to show how important those breaks are. They are an imperfect science and an inexact rule of laws to follow, and unfortunately for those playing, it's a maddening experience, but they are so important. We've seen that already in this final set. It's Gareth Hibbott with Cunningham straight down the middle, the old style break that we're so used to seeing from Gareth Hibbott, and he just crunched them, and he's on a way here into this third frame. That is more like the break that we're used to seeing from Gareth, straight down the line. Lots of power. And it's interesting how I think a lot of players will start to think about adapting the break to bring in the opportunity of that golden break.
I think you're right. The players will be at home watching this, trying to work out where's been breaking well for the players that have been in action. You know, what's going to get the black moving, what's going to give them the best opportunity. And well, Gareth's played a loose positional shot here. This will be end of visit unless he can come up with something quite incredible.
Only got 10 seconds or so to think about it as well. Oh, he nearly dug himself out of a hole.
Not a huge amount of damage done, other than the fact he's turned the table over to Chris. Yellows aren't ideal. Yellow at the top of the table is a problem. He doesn't have a good opening pot. Possibly one to the centre pocket, or a tough one down the table. Not surprised at all to see Chris play the safety shot.
We've not really seen many safety battles at all in this game. We saw quite a few last night with John McAllister and Zach Sheppard, but this has been an altogether more open affair for the vast majority of this game.
I think it's just the way the balls have worked out for the players. Last night we saw a lot more cagey sets of balls. Well, that was a very aggressive shot from Gareth. That really was taking it fully on, because he knew he was developing not just his red at the top of the table, but also the yellow at the top of the table, which was giving him a little bit of comfort in terms of the safety battle. But still, the 3 yellows at the bottom of the table aren't ideal for Chris, but they're easier to solve than that one at the top.
Yeah, this is on, but it's not easy at this point in the match. Fortune tends to favour the bold.
Very lucky.
Very bold. He knew he was going to be dancing with that middle pocket. Let's have another look at this. It was about as close as you could possibly go. It's come out quite nicely actually for him.
He made the yellow dead centre pocket, so he's judged that. Well, his judgment was just a fraction off, but he's been tad lucky to keep the white on the table. He won't care. Just thinking with the red that Gareth took on, you know, he really was a full-blooded effort, a very tough shot. It'd be interesting to see as this event pans out, whether players, when they're up against it in a sort of tactical battle, whether they do take the ball by the horns, as Chris nearly pots the white again, or whether they decide to play a containing safety. Because if you're rushed against it, you can you've got 2 ways of going. You can just go for an instinct on a really aggressive shot, or just come to the table and play like a negative safety shot, because you haven't got time to think of anything else.
I think you can just about see the potting angle of this. He's a millimetre away from not being able to. In fact, he's overcut it. So Gareth Hibbott does have another opportunity, another visit in this frame.
It's not the worst miss for Chris. He's covered the pocket at the top of the table. That red doesn't go to either top pocket, and it's a all the other reds for Gareth are at the bottom end of the table, so finding an angle to try and develop the red at the top is very difficult. He may be trying to pop the yellow over the pocket. Yes, he is. Okay, he was odds against landing nicely on his next red, although the one over the pocket at the bottom isn't too bad. But what it does is it takes away some of the control for Chris. Gareth, if he wanted to, could play a safety shot now. He doesn't have to be aggressive because he's got rid of the one over the pocket. I think he will still choose to find a pot.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of times already in this match that if there's an option to play aggressively, Gareth Hibbott tends to go for it. And that's what you're seeing here. Doesn't want that to go too far across. It's caught a little bit in no man's land, I'd say here. This is a tough shot either way.
It could be a clever shot coming up for Gareth. If he plays the red to the top right corner, he may have to use the yellow to get position on the other red. Well, he's not. He's choosing to play the one down the rail first. Oh, brilliant.
What a shot that is. What a shot that is.
And I think he's now landed with an angle where he doesn't have to use that yellow. I think he can just avoid it, come down the right-hand side of the table, perhaps with a trace of right-hand side. But that pot down the rail was fantastic.
He has come up with a couple of really, really clutch pots at big moments. Hibbott. This will take him into a 2-1 lead in the final set. That was maybe the easiest pot of the lot, which is often what you deserve after making a couple of shots like Hibbott just did there. Brilliant work from the former world champion. Tomorrow, speaking of world championships, these two both made the final this year in their respective competitions. Emma Cunningham versus Aaron Davies. A fantastic match to look forward to tomorrow night. Starting our coverage here on Free Sports at 7 o'clock. You do not want to miss that one. That is going to be a really, really good, one of the more standout matches in round number 1, I'd say that, Simon.
Absolutely, it's going to be a difficult one to call as well. Emma's one of the greatest lady players of all time. She's won the world title, I think, 4 times, as well as multiple ladies titles. She's been one of the leading ladies on the ladies IPA. Didn't win the world championships this year, but did make the final, losing to Amy Beecham. And Aaron, he made the final this year at the world championships, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he backs up that performance here again on Free Sports.
Chris through the kitchen sink at that break, didn't he? He really, really got through them. Just have a little watch of this replay. Look how far his cue will go down the table here.
It's incredible. It's the most power he's certainly put through the pack so far tonight. And if you're honest, he's been unfortunate again. He hit a good break there and probably deserved a slightly better layout than he's been given. Yellows at the top of the table are slightly awkward, although possibly only the red and yellow that are together in the sort of middle of the triangle there that need to develop a shot. Possibly just the one cannon to open this table up. To do so this time. The longer he leaves it, the harder it'll get.
We are also approaching 15-second shot clock territory. 36 seconds there or thereabouts remaining in our final set of the 30-second shot clock. This will be the last shot with such a time restriction.
A loose positional shot from Chris. He needed to avoid that red. He's now in no man's land. Of course, he's still got the yellow to the bottom of the table, but he's running out of balls to develop that bad ball.
Oh, that needed to go. He was some way off it. It's a similar shot actually to one we saw Gareth play a couple of sets ago now, I think. It wasn't really that close. He's not jawed it in any way. It's come off the cushion.
Yeah, you just got the sense all the way through that visit that it was just getting away from him. He didn't get the angle he needed on the first shot. He didn't get it on the second shot, and it just got worse and worse and worse to the point where it wasn't just the pot that he missed, it was landing on a position to develop the bad ball, and that wasn't there either.
15 seconds a shot now then for Gareth Hibbott. Gets straight into that, but I think he might have been a little bit unlucky. Can he see the red to the bottom right here? I think he can just get through to the potting angle.
He's checking out the potting angle. Walk round to have a look. Just have to cue this quickly.
The time pressure there made that a much more difficult shot than it ordinarily would have been.
Yeah, if he had time to steady himself, I don't think he'd have had too many problems with that. But a little bit rushed, as he is once again. He's not perfect. He's just got to control the right white off the bottom cushion. Can't just drop this in.
And this is a big, big frame for Gareth Hibbott to potentially win here. Were he to go 3-1 up, Chris Day would then have to find 3 frames in a row. If this set is tied, Gareth Hibbott would win the match. Chris Day must win this set. And now, his job is about to be made significantly more difficult. Gareth Hibbott goes 3-1 up in the final set. We have 13 minutes or there or thereabouts remaining. It's set up then. This gauntlet has been laid down for Chris Day. He's got 13 minutes. He's got to find 3 frames. We know it's possible, Simon. Just how difficult is this task ahead of Chris Day, though?
He needs to take the opportunities he's getting. He had a good opportunity in that last frame. He wasn't able to take it, and could easily be 2-2 here, so a big mistake. What he needs is opportunities, but can't afford to miss any more, I don't think.
What he'd give right now for a golden break, by the way. Gareth has had 2 in this match. What a difference it would make for Chris Day to have one of his own. It is the break for Gareth Hibbott next, though. And again, reverting back to that straight break. He doesn't want the red to knock in that white. He is okay in that sense. He's got an amazing spread, but this first shot is going to be tricky. Nothing immediately obvious, I don't think, here for Gareth Hibbott.
He's got the red into the centre pocket. It's tricky from the jaws, though. Now it's gone in. He's a roll short of perfect. If he was straight on the red to the right centre, you'd say this is a great opportunity. But he's guaranteed to be cannoning into more reds in the black, so he needs this shot to come out well. He was able to avoid them. That's a lovely shot.
Gareth Hibbott were to take his frame, he'd leave Chris in a spectacularly precarious position.
That was a lovely little cannon. Got the perfect contact on that red just to knock it over in the middle pocket. If he didn't get the contact right there, he could have been on nothing.
Three frames in 13 minutes is eminently possible. 4 frames in 10 is verging on the impossible.
I don't think he's on this red. Well, he's getting down quickly, so maybe he is. Yeah, he is.
Gareth Hibbott then to put 1 foot in the quarterfinals. Goes for one ahead. A big, big frame to win for Gareth Hibbott. And just see there the demeanour of Chris Day. He's just had a look at the scoreboard. He knows now. He's not exactly requiring snookers, but he is requiring potentially golden breaks and a minor miracle. This is what we've got coming up on Free Sports, remember, over the next few days. Emma Cunningham and Aaron Davies are in action tomorrow night. We've already told you exactly why you need to watch that one. It should be a belter. Carl Brown versus David McNamara comes up on Monday, and the former world #1 Mark Farnsworth is in action on Tuesday night, taking on Ben Rowland. Some fantastic games coming up on Free Sports for you over the next few days. Chris Day again breaks dry, and just sense that may well be that.
Yeah, it feels very similar to last night with John McAllister. the champions stepped up in the deciding, or the fifth and final set. Similar story here for Gareth. He's sort of stepped up a little bit in the last 2-3 frames. He pounced on that mistake 2 frames ago from Chris with probably the best finish of the match, and then obviously a break and dish to back that up. Definitely something that champions do. Although,
well, that door is open because it is still an open table, and Chris is not messing about here. He knows he has to go quick.
No, I think it is. I think Gareth did actually pot a red before he missed. But
he did pot both balls with his first shot. Not sure whether Chris was aware of that. He's gone yellows when he didn't necessarily have to.
Yeah, I think he's definitely missed that one. I thought the fact that he didn't take the reds on was a big sign that maybe I'd got it wrong, but I think Chris has certainly missed it.
Under pressure, I think he's worked himself into a real spot of bother there. I mean, it was a small chance either way. He had to be perfect and then probably lucky as well to have got himself within sight of taking 4. And in the first of 5 setting, Hibbott here is on the verge.
This is going to take all the set clock and the shot clock out of it. These are just laid out lovely. Final touches for Gareth. He just needs to hold himself together.
Don't think he really wanted that one to drop, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Gareth Hibbott is into the quarterfinals. A really, really good game between himself and Chris Day. We will hear from the winner after this. It's been a brilliant match here on Free Sports. Do stay with us. We'll go through Gareth Hibbott's victory after the break. Well, what a fantastic ending that was to a brilliant match. Gareth Hibbott taking the victory over Chris Day, and we're delighted to say he joins us now via the magic of these magical screens. Gareth, first of all, a big congratulations. That was a difficult match to get over the line. What are your thoughts upon receiving that victory?
Oh, very pleased, obviously. It was an up and down game. Chris kept coming back at me, and some of the sets were to and fro, people going in front and then losing the lead, and yeah, it was good. There was a few mistakes, but there's quite a lot of dishes, I think, so it was one of those matches, really.
Gareth, how do you find the shot clock? It looked like you were a bit rushed with the 15 seconds. You never looked like you fully settled.
Yeah, it's not so bad when the balls are open if the other guy's missed and you're just taking out 6 or 7 balls that are open, but when you're going first and they're a little tricky, it's hard just to get you to go the right way, to get the right pattern, and just to find the right shots, really. The 5 second beeper just comes before you know it.
And talk about finding the right shots, Gareth. We're going to let you enjoy the fruits of your work. If you turn behind you, away to your right shoulder, you'll see some magic moments, this being one of 2 golden breaks. Just talk us through it, because you seem to have found the magic formula.
Yeah, I didn't hit that one too well, I don't think. Nothing else really threatened the pocket, and then the black just flew in the middle. It was a bit lucky.
And this being maybe the shot of the tournament so far, I think it certainly entered the conversation. This double was a quite ridiculous bit of work to get you out of a bit of a hole.
Yeah, I was a bit lucky again on the red to come out, and then I don't think I won the frame. I think I twitched the black, so we'll forget about that one. But yeah, it was a nice double, because with the table being different to what you're used to practicing at the moment, it was a bit of a guess, really, the double, so I was pleased to see that go.
You had 2 golden breaks tonight, Gareth, and you looked almost a bit sheepish on the sort of, or you didn't want to celebrate them. You were kind of almost just raising your hand to acknowledge a little bit of good fortune, sort of not natural.
No, it's not. It's a strange rule. It's a good rule for this format, but yeah, you do feel a bit bad about it at the time, because it could easily happen the other way around. Chris was getting his black moving around quite a lot, and luckily for me, 2 went in. But when I was leading in the 4th set, I was thinking to myself, should I tap break? Because I think there was 3 minutes left and I was in front, and if I'd tapped the pack then, I'd virtually won the match, but I thought it's not really in the spirit of it. So, yeah. And I broke dry and left him quite an easy finish, and it was game on again. So Typical.
Well, we personally thank you for that, because it was a fantastically entertaining game, we must say, for the neutral. Another great shot coming up behind you here, Gareth. This is a skill shot that helped you at a really important area of the game. It seemed to be, from us looking in that when the crucial moments came, you seemed to seize the advantage a little bit and really go for the kill, particularly towards the end there.
Yeah, I played some nice shots in the last set. Just Chris got unlucky on a couple of finishes, just ran out of position, and he didn't leave me easy takeouts, but I got most of them, I think. So it just in time, really.
You must be pleased that when you made some mistakes in the match, the shot clock was against you at times, but when you needed to step up, you were able to find that, the finish, or a great shot that then gave you the opportunity for another finish, and you did punish some mistakes in that last set, which really shows you the champion that you are.
Yeah, I queued well most of the night, I think. The table's very reactive, which is a lot different to what I've been practicing on the last few weeks, so I just had to get used to that. But a few sloppy shots, but yeah, the shot clock is hard work, but it's the same for everyone, so we just have to get on with it.
And it sets up, of course, a mouth-watering quarter-final now between yourself and John McAllister, a player that, of course, you know very well, following this year's World Championships, not least. Are you looking forward to getting that one back a little bit in this Super Series?
Hopefully, but I think we'd both keep. I'd rather swap it for the other one, but yeah, it would be nice to get a bit of revenge, but we'll see what happens. John's obviously still at the top of his game, so it should be interesting. Yeah,
we can't wait to watch that one. Gareth, congratulations on a brilliant victory tonight. We look forward to welcoming you back for the quarter-final against John McAllister. That will do us, ladies and gents. It's been an amazing night, some fantastic entertainment, Simon. Two matches there that have really, really entertained us, and we've still got so many more to come in this first round of the Super Series. Tomorrow night, Emma Cunningham taking on Aaron Davies.
Yeah, so far it's been fantastic. Two brilliant matches. We've seen two great champions come through, looking good for the quarterfinals. And tomorrow night we've got another fantastic match. Emma Cunningham, one of the greatest players in the ladies' game, against Aaron Davies, a rising star in the world of pool.
Well, we cannot wait for that one, and we will join you tomorrow from 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. It's been a pleasure from myself and Simon and from the production team here in the West Midlands. Stay safe out there, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Too fast, too fly, too flaunty, too gas, too high, yeah, we on it. We go wherever the crew going. I'm ready, so tell me who want it.
This program is brought to you by Taom Billiards.